Hi and welcome back to Next Level Sim Gaming. So a number of members of Discord have requested this one, so here it is. Now in previous videos we've looked at F1 2025 and iRacing on this, the Pimax Super, and it doesn't disappoint. Notable advantages are the excellent field of view, improved comfort and of course improved tracking. But how is it on Automobilista 2? Let's check it out right after this. And if you want to grab yourself an amazing deal on a Pimax Crystal Lite or Pimax Super, the fantastic team at Pimax have provided an incredible discount to all Next Level Sim Gaming subscribers by using the code NLSimgaming. And an amazing offer for June 2025 only. Grab yourself a huge 10% discount off a Pimax Crystal Lite. Now this is a limited time offer only, so be sure to be quick and full details are in the links below. So let's get straight into the game and check out AMS2 on the Pimax Super. Now here is my PC specification, and remember that the results may vary based upon your individual PC specification. So guys, here we have Automobilista 2 on the Pimax Super. Now, a number of Discord users have requested me to do this video, and I just wanted to have a think about how I could really introduce this game, because it's a game that really needs no introductions. The Automobilista 2 is a fantastic VR title in PCVR gaming. It's a little bit crazy in terms of AI, and normally there's a bit of carnage on the first corners, but that wasn't too bad. But it's really stood the test of time very well. There's a lot of DLC and it's got some amazing attributes to it. So what does the Pimax Super bring to the table? Now I have to say that the analogy that I thought is a bit of a strange one, and for those of you who are old enough to remember VHS video recording, or VHS movies for better ones of the world. So VHS movies, and you're probably going to think, where's he going with this? If you remember watching a VHS movie when you were younger, and the quality was pretty poor, it was acceptable, I suppose you could say. Now, you then went on to watching those same movies on DVD, and then we then ended up with Blu-ray. And I have to say that the Pimax Super for me is like moving from those VHS movies, the VR games on older devices, and we are now playing those games in Blu-ray. Because this is Automobilista 2, the remastered edition, and you're not paying anything extra for that apart from the hardware. You are obviously paying for premium hardware, but with that it just reinvigorates every single game. And I'm not the only person to say that. Omni whatever, really knowledgeable guy. I'm really enjoying watching his in-depth videos. He's a power user, he knows far more about the mechanics of VR than myself. And I have to say, watching his video description on Half-Life Alyx and how it's just reinvigorated some of the titles, it really is akin to with my feeling on the Pimax Super. You put this headset on and you are just like, wow. You go into these older titles. Remember I said about the craziness of the AI? There we are, typical example. You go into these titles and it's just reinvigorating every single thing I play on the Pimax Super. It is absolutely amazing. The Pimax Crystal Light is a fantastic headset, don't get me wrong, and I absolutely love the Pimax Crystal Light. And if we look at mid-tier and high-tier, then, you know, this is high-tier, and, you know, if you have a high-end system, and you've got the 5090, you've got the 9950X3D, or the Intel Core Ultra 285K, or, you know, high-end processor, high-end system, all the bells and whistles, you want the headset to go with it. This is the headset to go with that. Because let's not make any qualms about it, you need a powerful PC to use a Pimax Super to get the very best out of it. And the very best, I'm sure, is yet to come, but the attributes of the Pimax Super, again, you know, that amazing field of view, you know, just out of a corner of my peripheral vision here, that mirror, I don't even have to look at it. I'm looking straight forward and I can see, if I look to glance to the left without moving my head, I can look into that mirror and I can see what's coming, and that is incredible, absolutely incredible. You know, and that really is a valuable feature to have. Now these bolsters to the left and right of me, just here, again, you know, I can see those bouncing out of my peripheral vision, I suppose like a real racing experience would be. You know, so that as well, that amazing horizontal and vertical field of view is incredible. But also as well, the other incredible thing is the tracking on this headset is just second to none. I mentioned this previously, I don't know what Pimax have done under the skin with this. You know, I used to use a Devoon box, I've mentioned it in the previous video and I'll show you it on screen again now in case you're wondering what I'm talking about. And on that Devoon box, I had a QR code to give the VR headset something to focus on. And I've got a lot of lighting going on around me to light up a green screen, etc. behind me. You know, that's not even needed. It's not even needed. With this, you don't need it. I've got nothing on. I've got studio lighting to the right of me, which in itself should be a distraction for this headset. As you can see, the tracking is absolutely fantastic. I can move my head left and right quickly there, not getting any issues. Now I do apologise about the quality of this video, it's probably not as good as I would normally like it to be. But there are issues, and it's not with the Pimax Super. The issues are that I'm recording this on the same PC as I'm playing it. So I'm using Streamlabs, I've tried to use OBS as well. And there are issues with NVIDIA drivers again. I've got an RTX 5090 and a lot of users are experiencing problems recording. And now obviously because we're recording a high quality game here, and we're having encoder overloading issues, and I just wanted to really just have myself sat in the game because I just think it just adds a bit of extra value to the video by me doing that rather than just showing you gameplay on screen. I just wanted to narrate and just really just show you what I'm looking at and try and bring you into the experience with me as well. So again, to summarise, this is an absolutely incredible experience. I'm going to share my settings with you in a moment, just to show you what I've been using in the game. But again, you know, there's absolutely nothing to complain about with the Pimax Super from my experiences with it. You know, the field of view is incredible, the resolution, it's absolutely mind-blowing. There's the sun shafts, just everything just happening around me here just brings you so much into the game. And I played iRacing for 4 hours. Now that's got to tell you something. It's one of the hottest days in the UK as well today. And I'm filming a VR video. I wouldn't even normally want to put a VR headset on normally. So apologies for me looking like a tomato. It's really hot, but it's really enjoyable still. It really makes it a fantastic experience. Now, comfort-wise, I've got the included ocular interface foams that come with a headset. There's two, you can get a thin one and a thicker one. I believe this thicker one is probably more for glasses users, but I wanted to try this one out as well. And comfort wise, it's absolutely fantastic. And I wanted to see if the thick one actually impeded on the actual amazing field of view that you get with the Pimax Super, and I'm glad to say that it doesn't. So that brings me on to nicely the next part of what I was going to mention, which is those mirrors to the left of me, especially just there. I don't even have to look directly at the mirror. Just out of the corner of my eye I can just glance at it and I can see what's in that mirror. And in the same way these bolsters to the left and right of me, I keep catching a glimpse of those out of the left and right hand peripheral view. Now, field of view is what makes this headset as well really special. So we expect you're going to get amazing visuals, and it delivers that in droves. You get those amazing visuals. But that field of view is just absolutely fantastic, and it makes this an amazing experience. It really does. Now, I can't obviously show you what it's like in the headset. You can only see that on screen. I've had a few issues with the RTX 5090. A lot of users are having the same problems when they are using OBS or Streamlabs to capture. So I've had to knock the quality down a little bit more than I would have liked. I'm using a lower quality webcam as well than I would normally like to use. I use a 4K camera for doing the normal parts in between these sections. But I've had to make a few compromises. So FPS wise, I'm getting around 75 to 80 FPS on the 5090, which is about right for this game. And if you want to see a bit more about the technical side of the performance of games, Omni Whatever is another YouTuber, and I really have enjoyed watching his information that he's given about the Pimax Super and the professional, detailed power user side of it. Probably a little bit more in depth than what I would look at. But I look at it from terms of experience. I look at it from an average guy who basically works a full-time job, does YouTube as a hobby, and really enjoys VR, and I really do. And I have done for a number of years, and to be able to actually have the privilege of testing these games out and showing you what these games are like in the Pimax Super is a real joy for me. Now, I actually do this because I really enjoy doing it. I really enjoy playing these games, and VR is my preferred way of playing games, even though I have been a bit distracted by Doom recently, I must admit. But this is absolutely incredible. It really is. So this is on Daytona, the sports car track, and as you can see, the game performs fantastically. I'm going to show you the settings used in game as well, so you can. I know a number of users on Discord have said what settings are you using, what are you doing in it to get it working well. And I'll show you the settings used by me, and these settings work absolutely fantastically. The game runs and looks absolutely incredible and is a real performance delight to play in every respect. So as mentioned, the graphics and performance settings in Automobilista 2 I have set to the following. I have a mixture of high and medium settings within the game, and I tend to find that this works very well in terms of a balance of performance and also visual quality. The settings as mentioned in the gameplay section just there, I have set to high for text resolution. I think that gives the game a really nice look. The anisotropic filtering I have set to 2 times when I'm recording and set to 4 times when I'm actually playing the game without having the weighting of OBS or alternatively Streamlabs recording the game. Everything else is set to medium. I have a couple of these settings switched off, so motion blur turned off and also the maximum visible vehicles turned off as well. Enhanced mirrors is not necessary, the mirror quality is fantastic, and the pit crew detail set to player only. The rest of the details, as you can see, are set to medium. In the virtual reality settings, I have the gaze control set to manual. So gaze control is where it brings up a target on screen, and you can actually hover over that using the head-mounted display, and when you stay on that target for a predetermined amount of time, it will actually make that selection. I just simply prefer using the mouse to actually select options on screen. The recenter view on boot I have set to on, so basically when you actually come into the game it actually just recenters it, but I actually do have a button set up on the actual steering wheel to recenter and make adjustments wherever necessary. Recenter view at race start I have switched to off, so basically I will use that button mounted option to recenter my view as necessary and make it comfortable to my liking. And the camera near clip plane I have set to 0. I don't tend to make any adjustments with that, although once again it's something you may want to try and make adjustments wherever you feel necessary. And finally, in the visual effects section of the game, I have the post-processing filters turned on. It gives the game a nice look. Bloom turned on as well, so it just accentuates the brightness of the sun flares, etc., and just gives the game a nice look as well. Everything else is set to as it comes standard, As you can see here, we've got the sun raised to full. I like the look of that when it comes through the VR headset. It gives it a nice feeling of immersion, and also subtle interior sun flare, so it's not too overwhelming once it comes into the interior of a vehicle. Rain drops off and screen dirt off as well, so I tend to leave those two settings off, but once again it's a matter of choice and a matter of preference for those settings with yourself. And then onto the Pimax Play side of things. Under the device settings option, there are a number of options we need to select in here as well. Now, 90Hz is the preferred way of playing Automobilista 2. I find it works very well on the Pimax Super. Screen timeout. A number of users are experiencing issues where the headset is disconnecting. Now, there are a number of steps in addition to this, but the first step I would recommend is actually setting the screen timeout to 5 minutes. I'm going to be doing a tips and tricks video which is coming up, which is going to assist users in some of the common problems that I'm finding users experiencing on Discord, and in order to assist Pimax in ensuring that those users are directed to a place where they can alleviate some of those issues. The first section of stopping the issue of a headset disconnecting, the first setting that we should be ensuring we are selecting is that 5-minute option in screen timeout. However, there are also some options in device settings under Windows that we need to also be looking at as well. We'll come on to that obviously on a separate video, but just to touch on briefly, that is the first setting we should be selecting. The second option that I find works very well in terms of not only Automobilista 2 but also many other games is the brightness is actually very bright within the Pimax Super, and by dropping that brightness down to 90 I tend to find works very well. Eye tracking, I have eye tracking disabled because once we have the IPD set, and you can see here that the IPD set is currently 66.9, we can disable the option because every time you switch your headset on, it will basically look for and make that adjustment. So once it's set, you don't need to keep making that adjustment each time. And once again, we can actually refine that by using these settings just here as well. Under games, so this is where we would save the settings to Automobilista 2 by simply selecting Automobilista 2 and enabling program setting. So you can see I already have the head settings mostly set within here. For Automobilista 2, because it's a Steam VR title, I actually have the Pimax OpenXR quad views and the actual Pimax Central Priority Rendering disabled because it really serves no purpose. The medium setting is enabled here, but to see what that medium setting is in terms of render quality, if we actually select Customize, it will actually show you that we're actually on 0.75 for this particular game, and I tend to find that works well as a personal preference. Once again, it will work well up to 90, so once again to select that you go on to Customize and then simply drop it down to the desired level. But for me personally, I tend to find, and for recording purposes, it works very well on medium settings. Hidden Area Mask is another option that I tend to disable, and Hidden Area Mask is simply about not rendering those what would normally be out of visible view areas. However, on the Pimax Super, because the actual range of view is actually so good, that having Hidden Area Mask disabled just extends that field of view even further. And all the other options in this section are just personal preference in terms of color options. If you wanted to adjust the levels of color within the headset, you can also do so there. Clicking on Apply, then onto General. So as I mentioned, I have the option to set Steam VR as a runtime enabled for this particular game, and I am using the actual in-game headset as default options, whereas previously I've used in-game earbuds. And the reason I have this enabled is that the actual DMAS headphones that I've just actually started testing work tremendously well and are really good quality, and I tend to now not use earbuds within the game, as you maybe saw in the gameplay section just there. But once again, on this particular title, there is no benefit to having Pimax OpenXR as the OpenXR runtime because it just adds another layer into the game. In terms of advanced, under this section, once again, I have pass-through disabled because I don't find it serves any purpose, and chaperone disabled because we are playing a seated racing game. We have no need to have that enabled as well. So thank you once again for watching, and there are some links here to some other videos you may find of interest. I really appreciate your likes, subscribes and shares, and until next time, take care and I'll see you again soon.